The last time I saw my sister Meredith, she was smirking across our parents' polished mahogany dining table while Mom quietly sobbed into her napkin. "I always knew you'd amount to nothing," Dad had just finished saying, his words hanging in the air like venom. "I'm Jayla, and that night, 5 years ago, was the last time I allowed my family to make me feel insignificant. Sweetheart, we only want what's best for you," Mom said, her hope barely holding through dramatic sniffles. "If you had just listened to Meredith about the job at her firm," I cut in, my voice firmer than I felt. "The entry-level admin position, the one where I'd be fetching her coffee?" Meredith's flawless smile didn't falter. "Everyone has to start somewhere, little sister. Some of us just start higher than others." That familiar knot tightened in my stomach. For 26 years, I had lived in Meredith's shadow, watching her gather praise while I collected criticism. Every accomplishment of mine was weighed against hers and found lacking. Every mistake became a family story. "I already have a job," I said quietly. "I'm doing well at the tech startup." Dad swirled his whiskey and interrupted, "Playing with computers. Meanwhile, your sister runs charitable organizations, making real impacts in people's lives." "Making impacts on her bank account, you mean," I muttered. The silence afterward was deafening. Meredith's smile finally cracked. "What exactly are you implying?" she hissed. Before I could answer, Mom jumped in. "Jayla, apologize to your sister right now, after everything she's done for you." "Done for me?" I laughed, and even my ears found it strange. What has she done except make sure I never forgot my place? "Enough," Dad slammed his glass down. "You've always been jealous of Meredith's success. If you spent half as much time working as you do complaining." "I work 60 hours a week," I said, standing up. "I'm leading development on a major project, but you've never once asked about it, have you?" "Sit down," Mom commanded. "We're not finished." "Actually, we are." I grabbed my purse. "I'm done being the family disappointment. I'm done watching you worship Meredith while treating me like I'm broken. I'm just done." Meredith's voice dripped with fake concern. "Mom, Dad, she's just having another episode. Remember that time in high school when—" "Goodbye." I cut her off, moving toward the door. "Don't try to contact me." "If you walk out that door," Dad called after me, "don't expect any help when you fail, and you will fail." I paused in the doorway, looking back one last time. Mom's mascara-streaked face, Dad's rigid disapproval, and Meredith's satisfied smirk. They looked exactly as they always had, a perfect family portrait with one glaring flaw: me. "Why, watch me," I said, and closed the door behind me. 5 years passed, 5 years of silence, 5 years of building something they couldn't tear down, 5 years of becoming someone they wouldn't recognize, 5 years of peace, until my phone buzzed this morning with a message from my cousin Presley. "Hey, stranger, you won't believe this, but Grandma Emery's 80th birthday party is next month. The whole family's coming. Meredith's organizing everything, and she's planning something wild. She's been asking about you. A lot." I stared at the message, my coffee cooling beside my laptop. Through the window of my office, the city skyline stretched out, the very same view that had graced the covers of Grace magazine featuring my company, the same view my family would never believe I actually owned. Another message from Presley appeared. "You should come. Show them who you've become." My finger hovered over the delete button, but something held me back. Maybe it was time to reveal exactly who Jayla Francis had become while they weren't watching. My phone buzzed again, this time a news alert. Tech innovator named in Forbes 30 under 40. My own face stared back from the screen, although I had insisted they use my middle name in the article. My family never read tech news anyway. I thought about Meredith, so desperate to find out what I'd been doing, scheming something wild for Grandma's party. My sister always did love a good spectacle. "Ooh, well," I murmured to myself, "let's give her one." I quickly typed back to Presley, "Tell me more about this party." Just then, Hugh appeared, dropping into the chair across from my desk. Someone's been poking around your socials, he said, and I don't mean the usual tech journalists. I minimized the quarterly reports on my screen. Let me guess. Meredith? Not directly. Hugh leaned forward, lowering his voice despite us being alone in the office. But that cousin of yours? The chatty one who messaged you about the party. She told me Meredith's been showing everyone pictures of you outside some luxury condo in Manhattan. Interesting, I said, considering I've never posted anything about where I live. Exactly. Hugh had been my right hand since our startup days, back when we coded in a basement. He knew everything, including why I kept my success hidden from my family. She hired someone, Jayla, a private investigator. A familiar chill ran down my spine, the same one I'd felt before family dinners. You sure about that? I asked. Remember Marcus from IT security? His wife works for an investigations firm. She overheard Meredith's name in a briefing. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Presley. OMG, Jay, you have to hear what Meredith just told everyone in the family group chat. She says you've been lying about everything, claims she has proof you're not who you say you are. I showed Hugh the message. He whistled low. She's trying to set you up for something big at that party. Let her try. I stood, walking toward the window. 15 floors below, people looked like ants weaving through the skyscrapers. She wants to expose me. Fine. But she might not like what she finds. What are you thinking? Hugh asked. Before I could answer, my assistant Sarah buzzed in. Miss Francis, your 2 o'clock is here, the venture capital meeting. Thanks, Sarah. Hugh, we'll finish this later. He nodded, heading for the door, then paused. Just be careful, okay? I know that look. You're planning something. After he left, I opened my laptop and checked my private email. 3 new messages from family members I hadn't spoken to in years, all variations of the same question. Was it true? Had I really been pretending to be successful? I deleted them all. My phone rang, Grandma Emery's number. My finger hovered over decline, but something made me answer. Hello? About time you picked up. Her voice was exactly as I remembered, sharp, clear, and no nonsense. Your sister's telling everyone you're some kind of con artist. Is she now? Don't play coy with me, girl. Are you coming to this party or not? I hesitated. Would you want me there? You wouldn't ask if I didn't. A pause. Something felt off about all this. Meredith sounded almost excited, as if she were planning a public execution instead of a birthday party. Typical of her. Jayla. Grandma's tone softened just a bit. What really happened 5 years ago? Before I could respond, my email pinged. A new message arrived, no subject from an unfamiliar address, only a photo attachment. I opened it and my blood ran cold. It was me, stepping into my office building just yesterday morning, coffee in hand. The angle made it clear the photo was taken from across the street. I have to go, Grandma. I'll think about the party. I hung up and zoomed in on the photo. In the corner, barely noticeable, was a watermark. Man Investigations. My phone buzzed again, this time a text from an unknown number. Interesting career trajectory for someone who was playing with computers 5 years ago. Your sister says hello. I should have been afraid. Instead, I felt something else, something harder, colder, something that had been growing over the past 5 years. I dialed Hugh. Remember that contact you mentioned? The one whose wife works at the PI firm? I need a meeting. Today. Jailer? They're watching my building, taking pictures. If Meredith wants to play detective, fine. But she forgot something important. What's that? I stared at the photo again, my designer suit, the logo of my company clearly visible behind me. I'm not that scared little sister anymore, and I have resources she can't even imagine. What are you going to do? I thought about Meredith's smirk that night, all the times she'd torn me down to build herself up, and now the lies she was spreading to destroy whatever she thought I'd become. I'm going to let her finish her investigation, I said quietly, and then I'm going to show her what a real takedown looks like. The truth was coming. All of it. And this time, I'd be the one smirking across the table. Fletcher Mann's office looked exactly like you'd expect a private investigator's to look. Weathered leather chairs, filing cabinets, and a desk that had seen better decades. The man himself was a surprise. Crisp suit, sharp eyes, and a demeanor that suggested he'd rather be anywhere else. "Ms. Francis," he said without standing, "I assume this is about the surveillance photos." "You assumed right." So, I sat across from him, mirroring his posture. "Want to tell me why you're taking pictures of me for my sister?" He studied me for a long moment. "Professional courtesy prevents me from discussing other clients." "Professional courtesy didn't stop you from sending me that photo." A faint smile crossed his lips. That? Yes, that." I leaned forward. "So either you're playing both sides, or something about this case made you reach out." "Which is it?" Fletcher opened a drawer and pulled out a thick manila envelope. "Your sister hired me to prove you were lying about your success. She was quite insistent I'd find evidence of fraud, deception, maybe even criminal activity. And instead, I found this." He slid the envelope across the desk. Inside were documents, photographs, financial statements, company valuation reports, pictures of my penthouse, my vacation home in the Berkshires, press clippings about my tech innovations. Everything I'd built, laid out in black and white. "Impressive portfolio," Fletcher said quietly. "Self-made, clean, legal. The exact opposite of what your sister wanted to find." "So why show me?" "Because while investigating you, I uncovered something else, something that wasn't supposed to be there." Fletcher pulled a thinner envelope from his desk. "This was misfiled among your sister's background documents. I don't think she knows I have it." My hands trembled slightly as I opened it. Inside was a single page, a bank statement from Meredith's charitable organization. Red flags leapt out immediately. Irregular transfers, mismatched sums, funds moving into personal accounts. "Is this what I think it is?" Fletcher nodded. "Your sister's been embezzling from her own charity. Small amounts at first, then larger ones. The investigation into her activities started 3 months ago." "She doesn't know?" "Not yet, but she will." He leaned back. "Here's the thing, Miss Francis. I don't like being used. Your sister hired me to ruin you, feeding me lies about who you are. Instead, I found someone who built something real." My phone buzzed. Another message from Presley. "Meredith's telling everyone she's going to expose you at Grandma's party. Says she has proof you're living a lie." I showed Fletcher the message. He actually laughed. "She's planning to present my report at the party," he said. "Thinks it'll humiliate you, prove you're a fraud. But instead, she'll be showing everyone proof of your legitimate success." He gestured toward the envelopes. "Take both. Consider it my apology for the surveillance." I stood, gathering the documents. "Why are you really helping me?" "Let's just say I have a sister too." He smiled grimly. "And sometimes karma needs a little push." Outside his office, I called Hugh. "Well," he said, "it's better than we thought. Meredith's not just trying to expose you. She's going to accidentally expose herself." "What do you mean?" "She's been stealing from her charity, Jayla, and she's about to hand me proof of both your success and her crimes in front of the whole family." A low whistle. "That's poetic justice." I smiled, thinking of all those family dinners, the smirks, the cutting remarks. The best part? She's paying for her own downfall. Want to guess where she got the money to hire Fletcher? Don't tell me. The family trust account, the same one she always said you weren't responsible enough to access. My phone buzzed again. An email from Mom. "Jayla, please don't come to the party. Don't make things worse than they already are." I deleted it without replying. 5 years ago, I had walked away from their table feeling broken. This time, I would walk in knowing exactly who I was, and more importantly, who Meredith really was. "Hugh," I said, sliding into my car. "Remember how you said I was planning something?" "Yeah." "I'm not." I looked at the envelopes on my passenger seat. "I'm just going to let Meredith's plan play out exactly as she intended. Sometimes the best revenge is letting people destroy themselves." The party was 2 weeks away. For once, I couldn't wait for a family gathering. "Holy shit," Hugh whispered, spreading Fletcher's documents across my office table. This is comprehensive. I nodded, watching him flip through pages of my life's work. Forbes features, property deeds, company valuations, everything meticulously documented. Meredith wanted proof. She got it, but not the proof she wanted. Hugh held up a glossy photo of me speaking at a tech conference. This was going to backfire spectacularly. My phone lit up, another message from Meredith, the first direct contact in 5 years. Hope you're ready for Grandma's party, little sister. Time to show everyone who you really are. I showed the message to Hugh. He snorted. She has no idea, does she? None. I picked up the second envelope, the one containing Meredith's secrets. But this is the real bomb. We spent the next hour going through the charity's financial records. The pattern was clear. Small withdrawals at first, growing larger over time. Money meant for children's programs funneled into personal accounts. Luxury purchases disguised as operational costs. Look at this. Hugh pointed to a particular transaction. Protection. She used charity funds to hire Fletcher. Not just that. I opened my banking app. She also drained $10,000 from the family trust account, the one she manages, on the same day. Can she do that legally? No. It requires approval from all beneficiaries. I laughed darkly. She probably thought I'd never find out since I haven't touched that account in years. Just then, my office door opened and Sarah peeked in. Sorry to interrupt, but you need to see this. Meredith just posted something in your family's Facebook group. I pulled it up on my laptop. There it was, a long, seemingly heartfelt post about protecting the family from deception and revealing painful truths. She had even tagged Grandma Emery. The comments, Hugh said, leaning over my shoulder. Look at them. Dozens of relatives chimed in with support. My mother wrote, "It's for the best, sweetheart. She needs help." My father added, "Some people can't handle the truth." Only one comment stood out, Grandma Emery's. "Careful what truths you dig for, girl. You might not like what you find." Grandma knows something, Hugh said. She always does. I closed the laptop. That's why Meredith's staging this at her birthday party. She thinks Grandma's approval will legitimize her attack. My phone buzzed again, this time Fletcher. Your sister just demanded the final report. Says she needs it for a family presentation. Thought you should know. I typed back. Let her have it. Hugh raised an eyebrow. You're really going to let her do this? Watch, I said, pulling up the trust account records on my screen. Meredith's so focused on exposing me, she's getting sloppy. Look at these transfers. She's been stealing for months, thinking no one would notice. But you did. No, I smiled. Grandma did. 3 weeks ago, she requested an audit of all family accounts. That's what triggered the investigation into Meredith's charity. So when Meredith presents Fletcher's report, she'll be presenting evidence of my success to a grandmother who already knows about her fraud. I leaned back. Sometimes the best revenge is just sitting back and watching. Sarah appeared again. Miss Francis, the board meeting is in 10 minutes. Thanks, Sarah. I stood, straightening my jacket. Hugh, can you finish reviewing these? I want to know every detail before the party. Sure, but... He hesitated. Are you really going to expose her? In front of everyone? I thought about all the times Meredith had humiliated me at family gatherings, all the smirks, the subtle digs, how she'd positioned herself as the successful sister while painting me as the failure. No, I said finally. I'm going to let her expose herself. My phone lit up one last time, a message from Grandma Emery. Got my party invitation today. Says you're coming. About time, girl. Bring that backbone I know you've grown. I smiled and typed back, Don't worry, Grandma. I'm not the same person who walked away 5 years ago. Good, she replied immediately, because neither is your sister, and only one of you is going to like how this party ends. Looking at the documents spread across my table, the proof of both my rise and Meredith's fall, I knew exactly which one of us she meant. Hugh, I called as I headed to my meeting, make sure those documents are somewhere safe. The party's in 10 days, and Meredith's not the only one who knows how to make a presentation. Sometimes karma needs a little help, and sometimes it just needs an audience. The week before Grandma's party, the messages started flooding in. First came Mom's daily guilt trips. Please reconsider coming. You'll only embarrass yourself. Why can't you just let Meredith help you? We're only trying to protect you from yourself. Delete, delete, delete. I was in the middle of a board meeting when Presley called. 3 times. You need to hear this, she said when I finally stepped out to answer. I just overheard Meredith on the phone with Fletcher. She's planning to do this presentation right after Grandma's cake. Says she's going to save the family from your lies or something. Did she say what lies exactly? No, but... Presley lowered her voice. She's acting weird, Jay. Like manic almost. Keeps checking her bank accounts on her phone. Yesterday, she tried to access the trust fund again, but Grandma locked it down for a routine audit. I smiled. How did Meredith take that? She threw her phone across the room. Perfect. The pressure's getting to her. Thanks, Presley. Keep me posted. Back in my office, Hugh was waiting with more news. Your sister just tried to get into the building. Security stopped her. Here? I walked to the window. 15 floors below, I spotted Meredith's signature red coat as she stormed toward her car. What did she want? To speak with the CEO. Hugh grinned. Guess she doesn't know that's you. My phone buzzed. A text from Fletcher. Your sister's getting desperate. Asked me to dig deeper, find something more damaging. I told him the report was final. I was about to reply when another call came in. Grandma Emery. You busy? She asked when I answered. Never too busy for you, Grandma. Good, because I'm outside your building. I froze. What? Saw your sister making a scene down here. Figured it was time we talked. A pause. Nice office you've got. Corner suite, I'm guessing. 10 minutes later, Grandma Emery sat across from me, looking exactly as I remembered. Elegant, sharp-eyed, and completely unimpressed by the view that made most visitors gasp. So, she said, setting down her tea, this is what you've been hiding. I wasn't hiding. Save it. She waved her hand. I've known about your success for months. What I want to know is why you let them think otherwise. I met her gaze. Would they have believed me if I'd told them? No, she admitted. They'd have assumed you were lying, just like Meredith does now. She smiled slightly, even though she'd seen the proof. You know about Fletcher's report? I know about a lot of things. She pulled out her phone and showed me an email. Like this audit report on your sister's charity. Interesting reading. Grandma? Don't worry, I won't spoil her big presentation. She stood, straightening her jacket. Just tell me one thing. Are you ready for this? For Meredith's attack? No. Her eyes turned steely. For the fallout, because when this is over, nothing in this family will be the same. Before I could respond, my phone lit up with a message from Dad. Your mother's in tears over what you're putting Meredith through. I hope you're happy. I showed it to Grandma. She read it and actually laughed. Oh, they have no idea what's coming, do they? She headed for the door, then paused. Wear that navy suit to the party, the one from your Forbes shoot. It'll look good in the photos. What photos? The ones everyone will be taking when Meredith's presentation backfires. She winked. I may be turning 80, but I still know how to stage a show. After she left, Hugh came in. That was really your grandmother? The one and only. She seemed terrifying. I was going to say prepared. My phone buzzed one final time. Meredith. Last chance, little sister. Back out now or I'll destroy everything you've pretended to build. I thought about the documents in my safe, Grandma's knowing smile, and 5 years of silence and strength. You can't destroy what's real, I typed back. Then I pulled up the party invitation on my screen. 3 days to go. 3 days until Meredith would stand up, thinking she was about to tear me down, only to reveal her own downfall instead. Hugh, I called out, clear my schedule for Monday. I've got a birthday party to attend and a sister to watch self-destruct. The country club ballroom fell silent when I walked in. Conversations froze mid-sentence. Champagne glasses paused halfway to lips, all eyes turning to watch me enter. I spotted Meredith near the cake table, her expression shifting from smug to shocked as she took in my appearance. The navy suit had exactly the effect Grandma predicted. Professional, powerful, expensive. Jayla! My mother's voice cracked. How are you? Happy birthday, Grandma, I said, ignoring her and walking straight to where Grandma Emery sat in her place of honor. I handed her a small wrapped package. Right on time, Grandma said loudly enough for all to hear. She patted the empty seat beside her. Sit! Whispers erupted around the room. That seat, right next to the birthday girl, was supposed to be Meredith's. That's my place, Meredith said, rushing over. Mom, tell her, she pleaded. Let her sit, Grandma cut in, her tone leaving no room for argument. It's my birthday. I'll seat who I want, where I want. I caught my father's eye across the room. He looked away first. The next hour was a symphony of awkward small talk and pointed questions. Relatives I hadn't seen in years suddenly wanted to know everything about my life. I gave them nothing, just smiled and turned their questions back on them. Enough chit-chat, Meredith finally announced, tapping her glass. It's time for the special presentation I prepared. She pulled out a thick envelope, Fletcher's report, and moved to the small podium set up near Grandma's chair. Before we begin, my mother interrupted, perhaps Jayla should step out. No, Grandma said firmly. Everyone stays. Meredith cleared her throat. As you all know, family means everything to me. That's why it breaks my heart to expose what I'm about to expose. She looked directly at me. Some people have been deceiving us, living lies, pretending to be something they're not. I sat back, relaxed, and let her speak. I hired a private investigator, Meredith continued, pride creeping into her voice, to uncover the truth about my sister's supposed success and what he found. Show us, Grandma interrupted sharply. Stop talking and show us what he found. Meredith faltered for a moment, but quickly recovered. Of course. I'll start with these photos. She pulled out the first one, me entering my office building, the company logo clearly visible behind me. This is where my sister claims to work, she said. A tech company valued at... She stopped, actually reading the papers for the first time. Her face drained of color. Go on, Grandma urged. What's the company valued at? This can't be right. Meredith shuffled through more documents. These papers show... Show what? I asked softly. Property deeds, she mumbled. Stock options, board member appointments, Forbes interviews. The room was dead silent, everyone watching as Meredith's hands began to shake. Read it, Grandma commanded. Read what that investigator found about Jayla. She's the CEO, Meredith whispered. The company, it's hers, all of it. My mother made a choking sound. My father's whiskey glass slipped from his hand, shattering on the floor. Keep going, Grandma said. There's more, isn't there? But Meredith had reached the last pages, those about her charity. I saw the moment she realized what she was holding. Her face shifted from pale to gray. I think there's been a mistake, she stammered. These papers got mixed up. No mistake, I said, standing. Fletcher is very thorough. He documents everything. I pulled out my own envelope, including these bank transfers from the family trust account, the ones you made without approval. You had no right, Meredith shrieked. Those records are private. Like the charity's records? I asked quietly. The room erupted in confused questions. Relatives demanded explanations. My mother began crying again, but for a different reason this time. My father tried to reach Meredith, who was backing away from the podium. Enough! Grandma's voice cut through the chaos. She turned to Meredith. You wanted to expose the truth. Well, congratulations. You did. But not the truth you expected, I added. Meredith looked around wildly, seeing the faces of our family shift from shock to understanding to judgment. Then she ran, straight out of the ballroom, leaving her damning presentation behind. Grandma picked up her champagne glass. Well, she said calmly, I'd say this is turning out to be quite the memorable birthday party. She smiled at me. And we haven't even had cake yet. The silence after Meredith's exit lasted exactly 12 seconds before my mother found her voice. This is your fault, she shrieked, pointing at me. You set her up. Did I force her to hire a PI? I asked calmly. Did I make her steal from her charity? There must be an explanation, my father cut in. Meredith wouldn't— Wouldn't what? Grandma Emery's voice cracked like a whip. Wouldn't lie? Wouldn't steal? Wouldn't try to publicly humiliate her sister? She picked up the scattered papers. The proof is right here, Glenn. Your perfect daughter is a fraud. And your other daughter, Presley spoke up from the back. The one you called a failure. Turns out she's the real success story. More relatives joined in, the tide turning as the truth settled in. Aunt Linda asked about the missing charity funds meant for her daughter's medical treatment. Uncle Robert demanded explanations about the transfers from the trust account. Cousins scrolled through their phones, discovering my company's website, my interviews, and achievements. All the while, my mother whispered, sinking into a chair. All these years, you were successful. Accomplished. Everything you wanted Meredith to be, I supplied. Why didn't you tell us? My father demanded. Would you have believed me? I looked him squarely in the eye. 5 years ago, you said I'd fail, that I was nothing compared to Meredith. Well, here's the truth, Dad. While she was stealing from children's charities, I was building something real. I need to find Meredith. My mother stood shakily. She needs me. Sit down, Hope. Grandma's tone froze her in place. For once in your life, face what's in front of you instead of running to Meredith. A movement at the door drew everyone's attention. Fletcher Mann entered, holding a folder. Sorry to interrupt, he said, nodding to me. But there's something else you should know. The police are here. My mother collapsed back into her chair. My father turned pale. I was required by law to report the charity fraud once I discovered it, Fletcher explained. They've been building a case for weeks. Right on cue, 2 detectives entered the ballroom. They barely glanced at the birthday decorations as they approached our group. We're looking for Meredith Francis, one said, flashing his badge. She left, my mother whispered. We know. We just arrested her in the parking lot. The room erupted again, relatives gasping, my mother sobbing, my father arguing with the detectives. Through it all, Grandma sat calmly, sipping her champagne. Well, she said quietly to me, was it worth the wait? I watched my parents rush out to find Meredith and saw relatives huddled in shocked groups, sharing stories about how Meredith had borrowed money or made promises through her charity. I didn't want this, I admitted. I just wanted the truth, Grandma finished, and now everyone has it. She stood, commanding attention as always. This party's not over. My granddaughter, my successful, honest granddaughter, is finally home, and I want cake. Later, as servers cut the elaborate birthday cake Meredith had ordered, Presley handed me a glass of champagne. That was intense, she said. But you know what's crazy? No one's surprised about Meredith anymore. They're all talking about you, about how they should have seen it. Seen what? That you were the strong one, the real deal. She clinked her glass with mine. Meredith tried to tear you down and exposed herself instead. That's some karma. My phone buzzed. A text from Hugh. News about your sister's arrest is hitting the business feeds. Want me to handle PR? No, I typed back. Let the truth speak for itself. Jayla? My father's voice made me look up. He stood awkwardly, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Your mother and I are going to the police station, but first I need to— Don't, I cut him off. Save your apologies. They're 5 years too late. He nodded slowly, understanding finally shining in his eyes. You really did it, didn't you? Everything we said you couldn't do. No, I corrected him. Everything you never bothered to see me do. As he walked away, Grandma raised her glass in my direction. Around us, relatives were already shifting, adjusting to the new family dynamic, one where Meredith was no longer the golden child, and I was no longer the failure. Happy birthday, Grandma, I said, raising my glass in return. She smiled, that knowing smile that suggested she had seen this coming all along. Oh, sweetheart, this is just the beginning. My office phone rang at 2:43 a.m. The number was blocked, but I knew who it was. Hello, Meredith. A pause, then. How did you know? Because you always did your worst damage in the middle of the night. I leaned back in my chair, gazing out at the city lights. What do you want? I'm out on bail, she said, as if that explained everything. Mum and Dad won't answer my calls. No one will. That tends to happen when you steal from sick children. I didn't. She stopped. It wasn't supposed to be like this. You were supposed to be the failure, the disappointment, not me. Sorry to ruin your narrative. Can't you help me? Her voice cracked. You have money now. Influence. You could make this go away. Like you tried to make me go away? Silence. That's what I thought. I stood up, walking to the window. Goodbye, Meredith. Wait. She was crying now. Please. You're my sister. No, I said quietly. I stopped being your sister the day you decided to destroy me instead of accept me. I hung up just as Hugh knocked on my door. Late night? He asked, noticing my expression. Just finishing some family business. I gestured to my laptop. Did you see the email from Grandma? He grinned. The one about her new foundation? Pretty bold move, starting a children's charity to replace Meredith's. Even bolder, asking me to be on the board. I showed him the press release draft. She wants to announce it next week. Speaking of announcements, he said, handing me a tablet. On it was an email from my mother. The subject line read, "Please read." I almost deleted it, but something made me open it. Jayla, your father and I are selling the house, the one we always said you weren't good enough to live up to, the one Meredith was supposed to inherit. We're donating the proceeds to Grandma's new foundation as restitution for what Meredith stole. We don't expect forgiveness. We don't deserve it. But you deserve to know that we finally see you, not as we wanted you to be, but as you are. You won. Not because you proved us wrong, but because you proved yourself right. Mom, you okay? Hugh asked softly. Before I could answer, my assistant Sarah buzzed in. Miss Francis, your grandmother's here. Grandma Emery walked in, impeccable as always. You're both here. We need to talk about the foundation launch. At 3 a.m.? I asked. She smiled. Best time for fresh starts. She sat down and pulled out a folder. The DA called. Meredith took a plea deal. She's going away for a while. How long? Long enough to learn what it feels like to lose everything. She met my eyes. Like you did once. I didn't lose everything. I corrected her. I left everything. There's a difference. Yes, there is. She opened the folder. Now, about this foundation, I'm thinking big. Real change. Real help for families in need. No fake charities, no embezzlement, no lies. She looked up at me. Think you can handle that? I thought about Meredith's late-night call, my mother's email, and that dinner 5 years ago when I walked away with nothing but my dignity. Actually, I said, pulling up a proposal on my laptop, I have some ideas. Hugh excused himself, leaving me alone with Grandma to plan something bigger than revenge, redemption. Not for Meredith, not for my parents, but for all the children who needed what Meredith's charity had promised but never delivered. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from Presley. Family group chat is wild. Everyone's sharing your Forbes article. Even Uncle Robert admitted he was wrong about you. Times really do change. I showed it to Grandma, who laughed softly. No, dear, times don't change. People do. Some grow stronger, some reveal their weakness. You just happened to be the former, while your sister was the latter. And your parents? They're learning. She patted my hand. But that's not your problem anymore. You've got bigger things to build. Looking at the foundation plans spread across my desk, I realized she was right. I didn't need revenge anymore. I didn't even need their approval. I had something better. The truth. Not just about who I'd become, but about who I'd always been. Stronger than their doubts, bigger than their limitations, and finally, completely free of their shadows. Ready to change some lives? Grandma asked, pen poised over the foundation papers. I signed my name, not as Meredith's sister, not as my parents' disappointment, but exactly who I was meant to be. Always had been,